Hey, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing for weekly automotive mechanical content for the average shade tree mechanic. One thing I wanted to say was thank you for all my supporters. I finally reached 1,000 subscribers. So another thing I wanted to mention is that I have a new intro. I got some new photos of the truck due to the fact that my previous intro, which is like the first 10 seconds of every one of my videos, those photos were outdated. So I got some new photos with wheels, tires, leveling kit to actually update my intro. And so I hope y'all like that. I like it a whole lot better. If you haven't seen my last video, I'll go ahead and post up the link in the top right of the video. All right, so you can check that out. Another one you can check out is the leveling kit video, specifically because I touched into some alignment specs there, which is what this video is about. It's about alignments on my truck. Before I get into that, if you have an Instagram account, I'll go ahead and put my name, my Instagram account right here. Please check it out, go there, follow. I won't bother you that much, but it'd be a good avenue for you to see quick updates of my truck, what I'm doing, and then come back to the YouTube channel and see more in depth of what I'm actually doing. Hopefully you get notified after each video that I post. But yes, this video is about alignments on the truck. I've had 3 so far, the first 2 at Firestone, and the third one was at a specialty diesel shop. So I have my notes on my phone. So before I installed my leveling kit, I took measurements. All right, so before level, they were front driver 40 1/4, front passenger 39.875, rear driver 43.0625, and rear passenger 43.125. Actually, after installing the leveling kit, I got my first alignment done. This was at Firestone. So the specs were front driver 42.75, front passenger 41.6875, rear driver 43.1875, rear passenger 42.5625. That's where I noticed a significant difference in the front driver and front passenger. All right, but I knew I was going to get new tires and wheels and then get another alignment done. So hopefully it'll change due to the fluctuations of whoever's doing the alignment. After wheels and tires and about 4,000 miles, I went ahead and got my second alignment done at Firestone. Specs were as follows. Front driver 43.625, front passenger 42.5625, rear driver 43.875, and rear passenger 43.3125. So after 2 alignments, I noticed that the front passenger and front driver were a little off. It was about a week after the second alignment that I was right in front of my truck and I'm looking at it and I see something's off. That's where I actually take those measurements. It wasn't until a week after that I noticed it. And so I saw that my truck's more so leaning towards the passenger side. I'm like, that does not look good. All right, so I took some photos, but that's where I realized it was more than an inch difference between the front driver and the front passenger. That's a big red flag. And so looking at it a little more closely, taking measurements, I'm like, all right, something's got to get done. I took some photos and follow along with me. So the first photo I'm going to put up is actually the front passenger. All right, front passenger side. This is the caster bolt that I got back and I took a photo, and there's one line at the very far right on top of the horseshoe, on the top right of that horseshoe that you can see, that'll be showing it as maxed out. You'll see a circle with a small triangle line that lines up to that 3rd notch. There's 1, 2, and it's on the 3rd notch towards the rear of the vehicle. All right, and then I actually compare that to the other side, the other caster bolt, and this is the front driver side. And as you can see, this thing's all the way maxed out towards the rear of the truck. And as you can see, that circle is pointed towards the rear of the truck on that 1st notch. So after doing some research and reading some Thurin posts and whatnot, I knew something was off. So let me go ahead and read to you the specs for Thurin. So alignment 0.00 to 0.05 total toe in. All right, and in between a 3.7 and a 4.5 degree caster. So since my truck has radius arms, it says less than half a degree of cross caster. Upper and lower axle mounting bolts must be loose when performing adjustment. So this is where I learned about cross caster. So the toe in was perfect from what Firestone did. Now the cross caster that they aligned it to was 3.6 and 3.7. Now it was on the lower end of the caster specifications based off of what Thurin said. They were farther than 1 notch apart. All right, and then there's another alignment and handling post that's on Thurin website saying that for diesel trucks, you want the caster 3.8 in between 3.8 and 4.2 degrees. All right, and it's a little slightly different, 4.2 to 4.8 on the 6.4 heavy duty Hemi trucks. I was not worried about toe in. Firestone really, I mean, it was set at 0.00, so they did perfect on that toe in. It was all about the caster. And I knew that being maxed out on that driver's side was putting too much, I think, pressure on the front passenger, which is why it was leaning too much. All right, and the whole suspension thing, it's like, it's hard for me to understand, but it's real simple of the information. You know, it should be 1 notch apart, and if it's not 1 notch apart, let me try and dig in and figure out what's going on. All right, so what this says is, caster overview. Caster in general terms is using the weight of the vehicle to have influence over the front wheels, manually having them work together to point the vehicle straight. That said, both front wheels are actually fighting against each other equally to create this imaginary straightforward effect. If you were to magically make one corner of the vehicle super light, the vehicle would auto steer to the lighter weight side, as the caster forces would not be equal. It was easier to actually turn left than it was to turn right due to the fact that there's more weight pushed on my front passenger side compared to my front driver. So this makes sense. This is one reason why zero toe in really helps us. So zero toe puts the weight even across the front tires, making sure the outer edge of the tread is loaded. This increases the hard caster forces as there is full possible leverage around the ball joint pivot line, letting us run less actual caster degrees. Again, we want this. Less caster degree puts less force on components. One note they say is it is very important on these trucks that you don't adjust the driver and passenger side cams too far out of balance. In other words, make sure there is not much manual cross caster. If one cam is, for example, pointed straight down, the opposite side should be no more than 1 mark forward or back. This is what I was talking about, the notch being less than 1 apart. I've seen alignment shops do crazy things here. If you do put them far out of balance, you can get some drastic lean in the suspension. Boom, this is where it clicked. Way too much lean, obviously for an inch. All right, and so everything's starting to make sense. Reason being, radius arms make the front axle act like one big sway bar. With the caster cams far out of balance, it gives a similar effect as having different length sway bar lengths, which would force a chassis lean. If you do need a little caster bias fine tuning, which is pretty normal, loosen the upper radius arm bolts at the axle also, then retighten. A little more info for the alignment dude. With their 2.5-inch coils, the approximate good handling cam indicator position is about the first mark to the rear of the truck. After reading all this, something was wrong, and so I did not choose to go back to Firestone. I went to the specialty diesel shop after talking with them on the phone, and they said they'll be able to take care of it, and they actually did. Dude came out about 2-3 times to ask me about what I wanted, because there's enough play for them to actually take care of what they need to do and actually get the alignment done. All right, so after everything that I've mentioned, you can see after the second alignment, it was too far apart. All right, and so those notches were out of place, and I showed them, hey, measure and you'll be able to know how much is it leaning to the front passenger side. All right, so I'll show you another photo, and the photo really doesn't serve justice, but you can see how there's a little lean. In person, you'd be able to notice it if you're standing right in front of it. So the second photo, this was the front passenger side. As you can see, there's more strain on the coil and there's more strain on the shock. All right, and this one is of the front driver's side. So check out coil looking real good. Shock is, you know, normal, not being overstressed with the weight. More photos I took. This next one is after the third alignment at that diesel shop I was telling you about. And this one is of the front driver's side. So shock looks normal, coil doesn't look crazy. Now this next photo is the front driver's side. As you can see, it is much different from the previous photo. The previous photo was fully maxed out. Now it is at the second notch pointed towards the rear, aligned perfectly on that notch. This next photo is of the front passenger side, and it is also pointed towards the rear of the truck, a little before the second notch. All right, and this is where there's some play and the alignment dude taking care of the job. All right, just to ensure we get within those specs and there's not a crazy amount of lean on each side. Here's the photo of the shock, not as, you know, not as much weight on this side of the truck, so it's evenly distributed. Now let me go ahead and get into the results. Now I can definitely tell how much of alignment really matters to these trucks, especially with radius arms, if the toe end and the caster are not lined properly due to the specs. Let's talk specs. So after the alignment was done, he came out and talked to me about 2 times just to ensure we were on the same page on what I wanted. The front driver's side caster was aligned at 3.9. Front passenger side was aligned to 4.0 degrees. There's a cross caster of 0.1 of a degree, which is within the 0.5 really amount of room that we have to play with. Toe to toe, 0.00, dead on, steer ahead. He aligned the steering wheel. So those were the specs. Before, as I mentioned, was 3.6, 3.7. All right, so it was on the bottom measurements of, you know, what the caster could do. So as you can see, the way the alignments are supposed to be done is they adjust the camber, caster, toe. All right, but there's room for them to actually dial it in and to make sure that the truck is evenly distributed with weight and actually drives down the road straight with no crazy pull to the left, crazy pull to the right. All right, so now I can definitely tell the difference between the alignments between those 2 establishments. The second one is what you want, and you really got to figure out those notches and how far they're supposed to be with the suspension of the truck. And all I have is that 2-inch Thurn coil leveling kit with their shocks, just upgraded wheels and tires. That's really it. So after the third alignment with these specs I just talked about, I actually took new measurements. The front driver is 43.375. Front passenger is 43, right on the dot. Rear driver is 43.625. Rear passenger is 43.625. So it was over an inch. It was like 1.125 of a difference between front driver, front passenger. Now it's been dialed in of a difference of 0.375 of an inch. So this is actually sitting almost dead perfect. All right, and so with the actual rake between the driver's side and the passenger side is 1/4 of an inch, and passenger side 0.625 of an inch. Guys, I'm telling you, if you upgrade any of these suspension components, such as what I did, you know, coil springs and shocks, you're changing a little bit of geometry and whatnot, to get these measurements that I've had right there, almost dead level, is beyond me. All right, and I am super happy with the results, but the alignment can make a drastic effect on how your truck drives, especially putting more strain on some components than the others over time. If I didn't catch this at an early stage of the truck's life, I'm sure there would be some suspension components going out faster on the right side than it did on the left side. But to have almost a perfect rake, and you know, just to have it sit at where it's at right now, it's amazing. Anyways, I'm super happy with the results. If you might have the same issues as me, I encourage you to actually check out, you know, the actual notches on your truck. If you have bigger wheels, tires, leveling kit, or even a lift, I know everything will be thrown off, but go ahead and check those caster bolts and see where they're sitting. But this is just something to share some information with y'all, what I had to deal with and how much of an alignment can affect your truck. That's from my experience. Let me know about my new intro. I'm interested what y'all think of it. Yeah, if y'all have any questions or comments, go ahead and let me know. Until next time, ciao.
Perfect.